Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to One Hub Racing Season 23, round number 3, as we head to the Hungaroring for the Hungarian Grand Prix. It was the first race behind the Iron Curtain, and most people call this race Monaco without the barriers. How will the drivers fare in today's race? We'll have to wait and see. My name is Jess Ball, one of your commentators this evening. I'll be joined by Steve a little bit later on. But let's have a quick analysis of what happened last week. We had the sprint and we had the feature with two different winners. And it was a great fight between Brendan and Nicolas Soro for the race win. But it was Brendan that came out on top by 1.7 seconds. And it was good redemption for him because we remember in Qatar that he didn't put the right amount of fuel. He ran out of fuel and he retired in the end, which meant he scored 0 points. So he scored maximum points in the sprint, so a great redemption for his championship campaign. But the feature race was a different story. Brendan was still in the top 3, but it was Timo that came out on top. Timo went for an unusual strategy, but it paid off for him. He started on the soft compounder tyres, then he went on to another set of softs, whereas everyone else went on the mediums, and then he finished on a set of the medium compounder tyres. So we would have thought, oh, most people would be on the sauce. We would expect Timo to be a lot slower. But because the tyre was more durable, Timo seemed more comfortable on the mediums and he was able to get the tyres at an operating window that suited him, and he was able to win the race over Nicolas Soro in second place. The same top 3, but in a different order. And I have to say, with Timo's first race on PC, he really deserved it, and he's definitely in championship contention now. 20 points to his name, and also he got some points in the sprint. How long will this last? Will he be able to do well in Hungary? We'll have to wait and see. Canarmed also did well last week in Imola, finished 4th in the main race, finished 8th in the sprint, so good recovery there as well. Also great recovery from Nick, finished in 5th after starting 9th. And he got his tyres into a good operating window too. Got one of the Driver of the Day nominations because of that. And another surprise, in a good way, was Fatality. Finished in 6th and got 8 points. One of his best results in One Hub Racing history. And he should be very proud of that too. Delta Hunter had some trouble in the sprint race. His wheel disconnected, so he wasn't able to do the sprint race. So he started at the back of the grid for the feature race. And in the feature race, that paid off immensely because he started last and finished in 7th position. He was so close to getting my Driver of the Day nomination, but because he picked up more penalties, that's what stopped him getting one of the Driver of the Day nominations in the end. But still, really, really impressed from him. He only got the game recently as well, so he is starting to get used to the game a bit more, and I'm really happy of how well he's done. Certain drivers that I think probably could have improved. Well, Konzo and Lukey, they didn't do too well. J. Cole got into a scrap with Colin, but it was a racing incident. And no hard feelings between the two of them as well. Surely they got a lot to live up to coming up to next week as well. Redemption rounds for them potentially too. So what does those results do with the overall standings? After some consistent results in Qatar and Imola, it is Nicolas Soro with a 12-point lead over Timo. Nicolas Soro getting 42 points and Timo on 30 points. Matt in 3rd on 28 points. J. Cole in 4th on 28 points, dropping from 1st to 4th. Kanam doing well in the championship on 27 points in 5th. Brendan in 6th on 26 points. Both the Mercedes drivers of Colin and Nick, 7th and 8th on 22 points. Same amount of points to be exact. Casper in 9th on 17 points and Fatality in 10th on 16 points. We got Delta Hunter in 11th on 7 points. Lukey in 12th on 6 points. Konzo in 13th on 6 points. Waitsy in 14th on 4 points. Larkin 15th on 2 points. Axelot in 16th on 1 point. And we got 4 drivers yet to score. So what does that do with the constructors? AlphaTauri lead the constructors with 58 points and then getting a whopping 40 points in Imola sprint and feature races. Mercedes being very consistent in 2nd place with 44 points. Haas in 3rd on 42 points. Williams in 4th on 32 points. Alpine in 5th on 30 points, Alfa Romeo in 6th on 27 points. Then we got 7th, Red Bull Racing on 17, McLaren in 8th on 16, Ferrari in 9th on 10, and Aston Martin in last place on 8 points. Still got a lot to live up to in Hungary. So, those are your standings then, and that's how it affects the proceedings going into Hungary. Next, we move on to engine wear, and there's one crucial element that we're going to be talking about today. We have got our first driver who is taking their engine penalty, and it's a little bit early, I got to admit, for them to take their penalty. If they wanted to get their engine to the end of the season, I think they should have probably taken it from round 4, but they may be missing a race, or they may know something that we don't. But, you know, it's the most important part, is to make sure that you manage your engine effectively. So Casper has decided to take his engine penalty now, and I could see why, because Hungary, it may be a track that he likes overtaking at, or he may want to avoid the carnage in turn 1. So best of luck to Casper on that one. To be honest, if it happened later on in the season, that was the track that I was considering to take my engine penalty at, but not this early into the season. But I can see why Casper wants to do it. And if you want to find a bit more about the engine wear, here is a tutorial video. One Hub Racing will be introducing engine wear to their F1 leagues. This adds a new strategy and tactical element to the season. Some people may take their new engine at a strong track, a weak track, their teammate's quickest track, or a track easy for overtaking. At the start of the season, each driver will have an engine which lasts for a certain amount of laps. For every lap completed per race, that's 1 lap of wear on your engine. Each week, drivers will be able to see their current engine wear in a percentage. An engine won't last the entire season, so all drivers will have to take a new engine at least once per season. When drivers take this new engine, they'll have to start at the back of the grid. However, they can do 1 outlap in qualifying to save their setup before returning to the pits. If you do not start a race, you won't gain any engine wear for that round. If you DNF, you'll gain engine wear for the laps you completed, up to and including your DNF lap. If you DNF from a race, you'll be awarded 1.5 times engine wear for that round. If you don't take an engine penalty at all, points will get deducted from your championship tally. If you get to a race and you run out of engine wear, you'll DNF from that race. So you'll need to keep an eye on the images, which has all the information you need to make the best decision for your season. In a 10-race season, we will predict you'll need to take a new engine between rounds 4 and 7 if you plan to just take one. In a 12-race season, it might vary. If you take a new engine too early on, you risk having to take another engine penalty later on in the season. So before we head to qualifying this evening, we would like to thank our sponsors and partners. A massive thank you to Next Level Racing by sponsoring the league by providing the following prizes. One of our champions will win a Next Level Racing FGT Elite Light Wheel Plate Edition and ES1 seat. One of our second or third place drivers in their tiers championship will win a Next Level Racing GT Elite Light Wheel Plate Edition and ERS2. Every driver will have a chance to win a Next Level Racing 2.0 wheel stand, which is very, very exciting. Also, thanks to Pure Sim Gear for sponsoring the league by providing their gloves or socks to the driver who has the most combined poles and fastest laps. Also, thanks to Aztec Sim Sports for sponsoring the league by providing a multitude of prizes, such as the driver with the shortest combined quali time wins a set of Invicta Sim Racing boots, and the winner of the ERT Going Gets Tough award wins the Aztec Sim Sports t-shirt and cap. Also, massive shout out to the Mystery Shirt Box, our newest sponsor for the season, and they're sponsoring the league by providing one of their mystery shirt boxes to the winner of One Hub Racing's driver rankings for season 23. Now we move on to our partners. Thanks to our partners Vespertine, who supports our official apparel and merch, so make sure you check that out. Also to Elite Racing Team at ERT Esports on Twitter. They're partnering the ERT Go Against Tough Award and sponsoring our league trophies. We couldn't have done a lot of this stuff without ERT. And finally to SimGrid, powered by SimGrid, run our seasons through their community and platform, and also we put the results and standings through there. So thank you very much to all of them. We couldn't do 100 Racing without our amazing sponsors and partners. But now, you waited long enough, let's head to qualifying. Right, so we're 9 minutes and 44 seconds remaining of qualifying. I'm joined by Steve, but we are trying to get him in the lobby. So far, no luck for him currently. So he just got me in the lobby and then Steve trying to get in. So we're getting our fingers crossed about that. But apart from that, how are you? And are you looking forward to this track?
I'm very good, Jess, and yeah, Hungary, an amazing track, known as Monaco without the walls because of how hard it is to overtake. So, yeah, it's a big challenge for all these drivers. You need to carry so much minimum speed around here to hook up a good lap or even just be competitive in the race that it's going to be a challenge. Tyre wear as well, going to be a huge challenge around this circuit, very high tyre wear around a circuit like this. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting race. It's surely going to be a good rest of the quali if I can get in. But, yeah, it's surely going to be a fantastic evening.
Yeah, I'm trying to go for a backup option if we can't join, just to be sure about that. So we've got 17 drivers in the lobby, and we've got a few notable mentions as well. Posh Evans is back racing with us. He still has an injury, but he is well enough to race, which is always great news as well. We've got quite a few pre-race interviews to go through, and he got quite a few thoughts as well. So we'll go through kind of what's happened during the qualifying session thus far. We got Nicola Soro, who came second last week in the feature race, and in the sprint is passed with a 1:14.9. Then we got Mats in second. Then we got the two Mercedes in third and fourth. Then we got Car Mentalist in fifth. And last week's race winner of Timo, I said it in the race build-up, but he did a strategy that I didn't think would work, but it shows that you can go on any tyre and perform well with it, which is always great to see for him. And also Brendan getting the sprint race win last week, as well as he's just invalidated as I went on board with him.
Yeah, of course, this track limits are a real big issue. You just got to keep it within track limits for some of these drivers just to get their lap on the board, because there could be a driver that doesn't set a lap, and then that's one position gain for you just by setting a lap, even if it's not competitive around this track, because you are on the edge so much. The track limits, you understeer that tad bit wide, especially through the likes of turn 4. Easy to get it wrong, go over the track limits and pick up a warning, and then even pick up an invalidation in qualifying. So that is something to look out for today. It's probably a bit more prominent than Qatar, but this track, very, very strict on its track limits.
Yes, I think turn 4, like you were saying, definitely can cause some issues at the moment. We're trying to find someone that we could potentially go on board with, but pretty much they're on in-laps currently, so we can't go on board with them, unfortunately. But there could be a threat of rain as well. Hungary has a high chance of rain, as I experienced in my race, and also a high chance of safety car too. So the drivers can't really bank on safety car, and it's another track. Well, it's not as bad as Guitar, but it's another track where you do have to put the right amount of fuel in, because you could be in a lot of trouble otherwise. So I think Aiden's actually going to set another lap. So he's going to come across the line. And what's it going to be? 1:15.4, which puts him into P3 currently on the road. So he is currently just pipping the two Mercedes boys at this moment in time. And J. Cole last week, I have to say, could have done a lot better. He did get involved in an incident with Colin, but no harm done between the pair of them as well. And he was in the wrong car too, which didn't help. But I think J. Cole's just got to prove that he's not a one-race wonder, and he can win all the other races potentially this season.
Yeah, I mean, he did sort of underperform last time out, you would think. Yes, he was caught up in that collision, but he never really showed that he had the pace to catch up with the pack. So it was just unfortunate last week. Just needs to get his head down, focus on this race, and then just try carry the momentum forwards, bounce off that round 1 victory, because of course he still has those 25 points and I think a few more as well now. So yeah, he just needs to bounce back. Even challenge for a win today is on the card, so he needs to bounce back and just try and carry that momentum forwards and just try his best throughout this race and show, yeah, that he's not a one race wonder and that he can do it consistently throughout the season.
Yes, as J. Cole is going through the penultimate few corners, and that is where you carry a lot of speed heading towards the final corner as well. So we'll see what he can do. The Qatar winner, well, I think he's going to be on a banker lap, but 116.779 only puts him in P14. I'm sure that he can go way quicker than that. As Waits, he's about to start his lap. Let's ride on board with a lap around this circuit. Turn 1, downshift into second gear for the sharp right-hander. Aim for the apex or the inside curve, and then keep to the right as much as you can, heading towards turn 2. You should be around about 4th gear on the inside curve, and then heading towards turn 3. Brake lightly and down, go into 7th gear in towards turn number 4 as you go up the hill. As you exit turn 4, let the car run right to the right as you head towards turn number 5, then heading towards the double chicane of turn 6 and 7. It's been made a lot easier on this game, I got to admit. The left-right chicane, which to be honest I'm very relieved about, and then heading towards the final sector, and you're going to be downshifting a little bit as you head towards the turn 12 exit onto 3rd gear, so you can't really downshift as much on this game, but as you head towards turn 13, you're going to keep to the right, just going into the pit, and then aim to the right again, getting the most possible speed here as you head towards the apex. Start, finish straight, up to the line. What's it going to be? A 1:15.546. A lot better lap time from him. Are you in the lobby yet, Steve?
Yes, I have just joined the lobby, so I can actually see what you guys are seeing properly now on my screen. But yeah, a very decent lap time there from Waits. He puts him in the mid-pack of the top 10, so that's something he can build off now. It's going to be, I reckon that could have actually been his final lap of the session. It's going to be a tough task to get the car back in the pits, put on a fresh set of tyres, and then coming straight back out again. That is going to be very, very tough for him to do. He might be able to, but yeah, it's a very decent lap time there for Waitsy, not too far behind Colin, and yeah, very, very close to the front runners, so he does have some pace in that Ferrari.
Yes, and he does feel a bit sleepy, I got to admit, but he's ready to race, and he hasn't had enough time to practice, but he moves on, and he's all depends on the start in terms of his confidence, and if he gets a good start, he'll feel confident, and he's got his teammate Luki, and they're going to see how close they are in qualifying and go from there, and his main rival is the track. A lot of people, actually, I was looking at their pre-race interviews, a lot of drivers are saying themselves they're not really relying on other people too much, because it can cost them a lot of time currently as well. But as Nick gets passed in towards turn 5 and 6, another driver who did really well last week as well, not particularly well in the sprint, but he did really well in the main race as well, and even said to me that he drives like he normally does, and he doesn't know how he gets better time management, and he just invalidated as I went on board with him, so he can blame me for a big commentator's curse there.
Yeah, very, very good race from Nick last time out. I think he started 9th in the sprint, was it, and then ended up in the top 5, so yeah, a very, very good race there from Nick. He did really well on the tyres. Of course, I think he even went to hards in that race and still somehow managed to pick up a good result. So Nick, absolutely amazing result for him. Colin goes up into 2nd place in the session. So brilliant lap time there from the Mercedes. He's ahead of Mats and also Carmen to this now. So that bumps him up a few places, up onto the front row. Nicola Soro, though, he's still the only guy in the 1:14s. He's actually starting a lap time now, heading into turn 1, down to 4th gear. Want to use a tiny bit of the apex curve, then run the car as wide as possible to get the best run into turn 2. Downshifting down to 4th, maybe even a downshift to 3rd. No, ELX 4th gear through there, then run it out wide. You don't really think about turn 3, just flick it through it and maintain the speed and focus your run into turn 4. You've got to be committed through here and make sure you keep it within track limits. Nicely done through there. Turn 5, a wide line from Nicolo Soro to then get a better exit into the 6 and 7 chicane. This chicane, very, very easy to just take too much curb and just bottom the car out. Now through 8 and 9, and now into turn 10, which then leads into 11. That section, very, very fast. Again, you just got to be so committed around this circuit. He's down by about half a tenth here. 12 corner. Now into turn 13, down to third. You then just feather the throttle through. Nick goes up into third place, and Nicola Soro actually boxes, but his lap time does seem to be safe as Mats goes up into P2.
A really good lap time for Matt, but the checkered flag has fallen and there's a lot of drivers going to cross the line. So we will keep an eye on these drivers as Posh Evans can only manage 10th with his teammate in 5th position. Lukey heading towards penultimate few corners, but I think Konzo is just ahead of him. J. Cole has invalidated. Delta Hunter going towards the final few corners as well. We've got Axelot, one of the drivers that was called into the drivers' press conference. He slots himself into 9th currently. Lukey in 12th, not the qualifying, and he would have hoped. Konzo into 14th. Jacob, obviously, he can't do a lap. Delta Hunter up to the line. What's going to be? He does not improve on time, and he puts himself into P16. And obviously, Casper, he's right at the back of the grid because, as I was saying earlier in the build-up, he does have to take an engine penalty. So he did an outlap, then went into the pit and retired, and there we go. So we'll run through your ordered ends. We've got Nicola Soro in P1, Matt's in P2, Brendan in P3. So our usual protagonists in the top 3. Colin there, doing well in P4, and a lot of people are saying that Colin could be a huge rival in today's race. Nick in 5th, great qualifying for the Mercedes, who is P2 in the constructors at the moment. Canarmed in 6th, Timo. Not where I expect him to be. Maybe he can shine better in the race. Carmentelis in 8th, Axel 9th, Racey in 10th, Posh Evans 11th, Lukey 12th, Boom in 13th, Konzo 14th, and we've got J. Cole, Delta Hunter and Casper rounding up your grid, obviously, with Casper down at the back for its engine penalty. So that is qualifying. We managed to capture most of it, luckily, but some really good performances, and not surprised to see who's up there in P1 at the moment.
No, yeah, Nicola Soro had a very good race last time out, and also I think he had a quite decent race as well in Qatar. I think he had a poor qualifying and then made up for it in the race, but it looks a bit overcast, so maybe some rain is on the cards. Of course, it did rain last week at the very end around Imola. Some drivers trying to stay out to go on the intermediates, but didn't work in the end. It'll be interesting to see what strategy some of these drivers go for, because the two-stop can actually be the preferred strategy even in a regular race around Hungary, because you can push the tyre so much more, and because tyre wear is so high, it sometimes can be the quicker strategy. So it'll be interesting to see what the drivers at the back do. Do they go for more aggressive, or do they just go for the long game and go medium soft, or soft medium soft? So we're just going to have to wait and see what they will do, but it's going to be an interesting one to say the least. Wouldn't be too surprised if we see some DRS trains, but we'll just have to wait and see what will happen.
Yes, indeed. And as I was saying earlier, Scorpion was called into the drivers' press conference, also known as Axelot, and he was asked how he's finding the new season so far, how he's been able to spend a bit of time adjusted to the different handling from last game, and what are your pros and cons from the game cycle compared to last, and who's your favourite driver of all time. There's a lot of questions that the press were keen to say. His favourite driver's got to be Michael Schumacher, which I do respect, to be honest. He admits he felt too slow for the first few races and got caught up in incidents. He did struggle to get used to it originally. He's still way too cautious on the throttle, but he's got a new pedal set recently, so it's not a great combination. But he's felt a little bit more comfortable in the last game for some reason, but he's slowly getting up to speed, which is always good news to see. So formation lap is on, and we're going to get the tyres up in just a moment so you guys can see it. And thank you to, like I said, all of our sponsors, Next Level Racing, Azatec Sim Sports, Pure Sim Gear, and Mystery Sim Box, as well as our partners Vespertine ERT and SimGrid. But let's look at the tyres then. 3 drivers on the top 3. They've all gone for softs. And we got Colin, Nick and Canarmed on the mediums. Timo on the softs. Carmentis on the mediums. Axel on the softs. We've got Waitsy, Posh Evans, Lukey, Boom on the mediums. Konzo's gone for, I think, an anomaly compared to everybody else. He's gone for the hards. Jacob's on the mediums. Delta Hunter's on the softs. And Casper's on the medium compounded tyres. Looking to do a last 2 challenge. And from what I've been told from the drivers, it's going to be a dry race. So no threat of rain, luckily, but you never know with this game.
Yeah, that's true. This game, the weather can be quite different to what the drivers see on their pre-race screens, but hopefully it doesn't rain for their sake. But a very diverse field in the strategy choices, a lot more going on to the mediums, but still we got Konzo on the hard, that could play out quite well for him. He could do a hard soft and then just go long on that first and then do 2 shorter stints and get as much out of the tyre he possibly can. The top 3 on the softs, they're going to have to look out for the likes of Colin and Nick behind them on the mediums, because that'll be a real big factor coming into about the midpoint in this race, because the top 3 would have to go on the mediums and then Colin and Nick can go on to the softs. But we're about to get underway here in Hungary, and the 5 red lights are about to come shortly.
Here we go. The 5 red lights are about to head on your screens, as we've already got a few disqualifications from the formation lap, as one of them, as the cars have been pointed in a very weird position. But anyway, we're on round number 3 of the P1 tier. The 5 red lights are on with Nicolas Oro on a pole position, and we are underway. And it's a really rubbish camera angle, but Nicolas Oro gets a really good start. But Matt's try might cover off the inside in towards turn number 1. No, he can't do it. But Forza Brendan is going to try and get potentially Matt as well. There's a bit squirmy on exit. Through into turn 1 then. Timo got a lightning start on those soft tyres. So the ones on the soft tyres, medium tyres, sorry, are really starting to struggle currently. That's it's up into 9th spot. Now he tried to go around the outside of Mentalist in towards turn 3, heading towards turn 4 now. All going through AOK, all in the same train. And looks like Nicolas Oro is pulling away for a little bit. But Matt's pretty much almost got tagged by Brendan there at the start, but he was able to hold it for a little bit, which was great to see. But Nicolas Oro leading the way.
Yeah, the perfect start that Nicolas Oro would have wanted. He's now 8 tenths clear of Max at the moment in time, and it seems like the soft tyres really are working well off the start, but give them, I say, 4 or 5 laps, that pace will start to drop, and it will start to drop quickly, and the drivers on the medium tyres will need to capitalise on that. Now, look, Nicolas Oro is the end of lap 1. He's broken DRS already to Mats. Yes, it's only by about 1/10 of a second, but that could be crucial come the start of lap 3. But yeah, Konzo on the hards has had an awful start to this race, gone from 14th all the way down to 17th. We've actually got Casper trying to make a move on J. Cole. J. Cole's had a good start. Eva going down into turn 1. He gets the move done nicely, and further ahead, Waitsy and Delta Hunter going side by side, and Waitsy actually gets the move on Delta Hunter, who's on the soft compound tyres. So yeah, it seems that the mediums can put up a fight at times, but look at the gap Nicolas Oro's pulling over Mats. 1.5 seconds. He's really using all the tyre he possibly can.
And according to his pre-race interviews, he feels quite good going into this weekend, and he tried loads of different strategies to get to where he is today, and he's quite confident as well that he's going to get a good result, but it all depends on how his quali laps are going to be. But he produced a really solid quali lap, which did help, and he's not planning anything in terms of his teammate, because Boom is down in 12th position, so it's going to be hard for him at the moment. And he said his main rivals, well, he's got Timo in 4th, J. Cole is down in 16th, so he's probably happy that one of his rivals is out of the picture. Brendan in 3rd, and Posh Evans only down in 11th, but bear in mind, Posh Evans has got an injury, so we don't expect him to be right on at the pace that he used to be just yet. So I'm guessing that the only person he's worried about is Timo down in 4th position. Now, bearing in mind, the soft tyres drop off around about lap 8 as Carmentalid drives it up the inside of Axelot then, up into 8th place. Axelot seems to be struggling then on those soft compounded tyres, which is a bit worrying. And I think he might have picked up some damage at some point. As Posh Evans now trying to go up the right-hand side in towards turn number 4. He now becomes the outside line, and they made a bit of contact. That is not good for the Aston Martin, and he drops all the way down into last place. And I think he may have picked up a bit of damage because of it as well. What a shame for Max a lot. The person who was called in the driver's press conference must be, I think, pretty much a media curse, as it were.
Yeah, I think he might have had some overheating. His tyres were overheating. I think I saw it on his dash that they were around about 105 degrees heading into turn 2. So he might have had some issues with his tyres, but unfortunately he was too committed to try and keep the position against Posh Evans. He should have just let Posh Evans through. It was pretty much inevitable that the Alfa Romeo was going ahead, and yeah, unfortunately there for Axlock, but yeah, I think he's struggled with his tyres. His road tyres are hot. Oh, and Brendan making the move down the inside here on Mats, but Mats going for the switchback. There's a little bit of contact made. Brendan managing to keep the position. Here comes Timo now. Can he get the pair of them into turn 2? He's side by side with his teammate, and he gets the move done. He's up into P3, and Mats has lost 2 places in 2 corners, and it's now 3 seconds between the top 2.
I have to say, there's one point in the interview questions where you have to work together. Well, if you're losing 2 places like that, then it's not going to give you that much pace. And Timo did say if there was an opportunity to work together, he will do what's best for the both of us. And, well, it's benefited Timo, but it's not benefited Mats as he's gained 2 places. But there may have to be some compromises in order. Maybe Timo is the faster driver, so it is what he expects. So maybe Mats will probably have to play the wingman at this moment in time. 2.9 seconds, by the way, is the gap between Nicolas Oro and Brendan, which I have to say is huge. So it must be that it is his favourite track currently, as Carmentalis gets past Nick. So Nick is struggling a little bit on those medium tyres, where there's some other drivers who are managing their tyre temperatures a little bit better, or maybe Nick's just saving a bit of tyre wear. He's going to come and fight again in towards turn number 1 then. To the right-hand side he goes, kissing that apex, and Carmentalis went a bit deep there as well, which means Nick is going to gain a bit more of a tyre in towards turn number 2. Nope, he does not. He's got Lukey behind him as well, so we could capitalise on this very, very soon. Another driver that could potentially get Brendan is Timo. I have to say, he is on fire. He is the one who's known for the crazy strategies. Could he go for another crazy strategy here? He's probably playing the long game, and you never know. He may do a soft medium stint like he did last week, because that worked for him then, but he's only going to have to use, I think, the softs for like 7 laps, because don't forget, the other softs that he has are used tyres, so he has to bear that in mind. But the mediums starting to close in on the softs ever so slightly. Not quite yet is the cut-over point, but as soon as Colin and the other guys start to reel them in, then the softs could be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and actually Nicolas Soro's into the pit lane already, so it seems that he did use all the tyre he possibly can. He started to drop off a bit, dropped to about 2.7, 2.8, but here comes Timo. Can he get the move done on Brendan? Into turn 1, to the inside goes the Alfa Romeo. Brendan not putting up much of a fight, or is he? He's going for the switchback. He's gone for the better run out of the corner. No DRS though for the Williams. There's a yellow flag. That's for Axlock in the Aston Martin. Colin, oh yeah, Colin's got past Mats. Mats has really been struggling. I was meant to say that before the Timo move, that Mats is really struggling on his soft tyres. As soon as he got passed by Brendan and Timo, he just dropped right back into the clutches of the medium runners. So Matt's really struggling here. Nicolo's got onto medium tyres, so we'll have to see how that plays out. The undercut is very, very strong around this track, so we're going to see if he can pull a bit of a gap to Timo and Brendan when they come in. But Timo does have some really good pace in his AlphaTauri, and it seems that he's already going to break a second to Brendan by the time they reach turn 1.
Yes, and you have to have a strong presence around this track. I mean, like, if you're in the front, it's going to be hard to overtake. You need high downforce, but enough for you to be great in a straight line. So I think running 50-49, as I found out, is not ideal in the dry. In the wet, it's good, but in the dry, it's not so good. But some drivers may prefer it. We've got some more pit stops covering off Nicolas Oro. That's Brendan and Matt as they go on to a set of the medium tyres. Let's watch Nicolas Soro then. He's heading towards the final corner already. That's how quick he is, and he's already trying to catch up to this train. So, yep, he's comfortably in front of Brendan by a few seconds. So, Nicolas Soro just pitting earlier than everybody else has hindered Brendan 4.6 seconds now. That is absolutely massive. So, I think it's up to Timo to prove everybody wrong and see if he can try and obviously bridge that gap between himself and Nicolas Soro. But I think it's going to be a very tough task because he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 medium runners chasing him down. I think the softs are really starting to drop off, and I wonder the ones who just pitted will wait until they've lost about 1.5 seconds and then come in, and I think that is the point where they're definitely going to come in now. Boom's just got the first penalty. I'm surprised it only took till lap 7 to get there, because during practice yesterday, I think it was about 5 laps and I got a penalty, so they're doing better than me at least.
Yeah, and Timo's staying out once again. This is going to be an odd strategy call, you would think, for the soft compound tyres, because they are starting to fall off. Colin is gaining on the AlphaTauri in front of him, and this allows Nicolas Soro to get further and further and further in front. As Timo had a huge slide there on the apex of turn 1. Rear end just stepping out all over the place. J. Cole gets in front of Delta Hunter. Delta Hunter goes deep into turn 1. Konzo now capitalises on the pair of them. He's now up into 10th place. But look at that. It's 5.6 seconds between Nicolas Soro and Brendan. You would think Brendan now going to come out ahead of Timo due to the tyre difference. But Timo is starting to really struggle on those soft compound tyres.
Yeah, I think 2 seconds a lap you lose just by being on the soft tyres for this long. And I think we're seeing the same with Delta Hunter as well, as Nicolas Soro is catching him up in a rate of knots. So you really start to see the difference currently as well, how the undercut is so powerful. And Colin's around about 8 tenths behind Timo now. So if I was Timo, if the threat of the mediums catching is not enough, then I don't know what is, as Timo has to come in now, because otherwise he's going to lose so much time to Nicolas Soro. So Timo comes into the pitch. You've got to plant your car to the right-hand side if you can, because otherwise you will hit the pit wall, as Colin is now the race leader, but not the net race leader, because he hasn't done his first stop yet. And where's Nicolas Soro out on track? He's heading towards the start-finish straight. I think Nicolas Soro is going to be way ahead because of the drop-off on those soft tyres. But he has to get past Delta Hunter first. That is going to be the big question. Timo comes out of the pits. I'm really worried about Timo. He was in 2nd place, and now he's lost like 2 places now to the likes of Nicolo, Forza, Brendan and Matt. I think from gap to Nicolas Soro, it's around about 6-7 seconds, which is huge. I think before that was only like 2-3 seconds. I think he just didn't use the optimum pace effectively, unfortunately. He just stayed out a little bit too long, unfortunately. And I think, what does that do with Delta Hunter? Delta Hunter's got to be thinking about pitting soon.
Yeah, I think Delta Hunter was just sitting out and hoping for maybe even a safety car and just seeing what will happen. But Nicolas Soro just going to try carve his way through the pack in front of him, all on the medium tyres, except from Konzo, who is on the hard. So, there's actually contact in front of him. Konzo and Jayco. Jayco going straight into the back of the Williams in front of him. The Alpine making contact. And I think, luckily for the pair of them, neither have damage, as Car Mentalist and Posh Evans are the first ones from the medium tyres to pit on this lap. Delta Hunter does come into the pit lane, but Nicolas Soro, he needs to get past these drivers that are scrapping over the last of the points-paying positions, as here he goes, 3 wide, nearly into turn 1. J. Cole backs out of it. Konzo trying to hold it around the outside of the Haas. Can't get it done. Will J. Cole be able to get past Konzo into turn 2? No, he's just going to have to sit behind the Williams once again. But Nicolas Soro, that contact into turn 12 between Konzo and J. Cole, that could have been costly if he was caught up in it.
Yes, and 3 wide into turn 1 does not mix, unfortunately. And it has costed them a lot of time at this moment in time. And, we will start to see which is the right strategy to be on, starting on the softs or starting on the mediums. Usually soft is better just in case there's a safety car, but we've had no safety car thus far, so maybe they want to think about stretching those mediums for a little bit longer, potentially, because if there could be another safety car, maybe go on to a set of softs and then a set of mediums afterwards to really gain that time, because the ones that are going to benefit from a early safety car are the ones who've already pitted already, because they can get their 2 stops right under their belt. So the ones that are currently leading at the moment in terms of that is Nicolas Oro, and then it's Forza Brendan with a huge gap, and he's trying to get ahead of J. Cole, who has not pitted yet, and it's going to be really tough for him. Luckily he does get past as well, but J. Cole is like, you know what, I don't care that you pitted already, I'm going to try and fight back a little bit as well. But I think Brendan is like, nope, you're having none of that, and he's going to use his teammate for a little bit of slipstream as well. Some drivers are not going to benefit from their teammates today, as Brendan does get past Konzo. Now, I wonder if Konzo is going to do what Larkin did in Qatar, try and hold up the likes of Matt and J. Cole a little bit, just to give Brendan some breathing space. I know I would at this early stage, as Boom gets another 3-second time penalty, which is a bit of a shame. Matt's going to try and do all he can, but he just can't get past. It's like Monaco, like without the barriers, like you're saying, and the track is just quiet now, and he looks so angry. He's just keen to get past.
Yeah, this is exactly what Brendan needs, is that his teammate Konzo just holds up Mats for as long as possible. Now heading in to turn 12. It's late on the brakes from the AlphaTauri. He's managed to get ahead of the Williams, but now that's allowed Brendan to get an extra car in front of Mats. Now it's wait seat in between the pair. Nicolas Sora gets past his teammate Boompie. Nick is in the pit lane, so is Waitsy as well. It's be let's see what they go on to while they go into the pits and box. Nick goes on to the softs, as Timo now going to try and get past Konzo as well. I think Matt's tried pulling out to give Konzo a bit of slipstream all down the inside, nearly contact between the AlphaTauris. Timo had to lock the rear tyres there to not go into the side of his teammate, and just about avoids him, as now they're up into 6th and 7th. But they need to catch up to Brandon, who's now 1.9 seconds up the road.
They've lost a bit of time because of it as well. And look, Carmentalis is catching up as well. And Canarm, those two, especially Canarm, as Canarm is up in a 9th spot, getting past the likes of J-Cole. And he's going to get past Konzo too, in towards turn 6 and 7. Oh, he's going to be very brave. And he goes almost an unsafe rejoin. And that was, I think, very, very tight from the likes of Canarm. That could have almost ended in tears. But if you run on these curbs too much on this game, it's not like the previous game. On this game, you lose so much time because of it, and rightly you should. As Colin, by the way, comes in, I wonder if he's going to do the same strategy as his teammate. Go on to accept the soft compound tyres, be very strong towards this part of the race. And if there's a safety car, then he can go on to a set of mediums. Yes, he is going on to the soft. Normally that shot that he's doing it, and he basically, Colin and Nick are doing exactly the same strategy as what we saw Timo do last week. And guess what? They've that person won the race. So maybe they're doing a bit of a similar strategy, thinking that if Timo did it last week, could it work this week?
That is a good question, but Nicolas Oro has actually lost a bit of time to Brendan. Brendan has been catching up. It's now 2.6. When they come out the pit lane, it was 5.3. So Brendan has really caught up here. He's used his DRS effectively. He's managed to get past cars quicker than the Haas in front of him, and he's really brought that gap down. So Brendan, on these medium tyres, has had an absolutely a massive amount of pace, so much more than Nicolo, that he could be in a contender for the win here, because this pace that he's carrying right now, he's carrying on shrinking the gap down. Boompie trying his best to help out his teammate. Now Mats goes through on Boompie. Oh, there's a big slide into Timo as well. He's spinning round now. The man who stays out, I think the only driver to stay out so far and not box in this race, hit by Mats and then spins round into Timo. And that is a disastrous race. It goes from bad to worse. Of course, the only driver to pick up a penalty in this one. And yeah, that's now him into the pit lane and dropping a few places.
Yeah, you got to do a lot to help your teammate, but unfortunately, there's only so much you can do, and he's spun because of it, and that's going to overheat his tyres massively. So he's coming in onto a set of the soft, so he started on the medium tyres. So not many people are going to end on the soft tyres. And somebody said, oh, it's going to be dry for the whole race. It's getting quite dark. That might mean that there could be rain on the horizon, but I do not see any dark clouds. So I think we could be overcast for the rest of the race, but you never know with the weather with Codemasters, unfortunately. By the way, if you're liking this action here today, don't forget to leave it a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Hit subscribe if you're on YouTube as well. If you are on Twitch, follow us. But if you're not on Twitch, follow us anyway. We're getting close to a really huge milestone on the 100 Racing YouTube and Twitch channel. So make sure you do that. As Lukey, by the way, having a nice battle with Casper. Casper not doing as well as you would expect with that engine penalty, but at least he's done an engine penalty this season already. Lukey is now past Casper, but as an unfortunate result of that, he's got a 3-second time penalty. Timo and Mats, both of them, well, it was inevitable that Timo had to get past, and Mats didn't want to lose too much time fighting him, so Timo is up into 3rd place and still within that train. Nick has passed Porsche Evans up into 8th place as well on those soft tyres. And I wonder, is the soft tyre stint, maybe because they're so low down, maybe costed them a little bit? Maybe they should have started on the soft, but it is hard to judge at this point because it's so hard to overtake. But Colin doing a great job behind car mentally, so you never know what could happen here.
No, I mean, it was a risky strategy starting on those mediums. Of course, as you said, a safety car could have really cost them big time because the soft runners would have been able to box onto the mediums, lose pretty much no time at all, and yeah, that would have really cost likes of Colin and Nick. But car mentalist in front of the Mercedes, is he going to be able to hold on? I don't think he will be able to, but Canarmed is actually catching up to the 2 AlphaTauris in front of him. He's had a really good stint here on the mediums, probably one of the better stints that we've seen so far in this race, because Canarmed might be able to get past Mats heading into turn 1. The battery difference is around about 30%, so in the 50s is Canarmed, and then in the 20s is Mats, but not going to be able to get the move done. Colin to the inside of Car Mentalist. He gets ahead before the braking zone into turn 1, and that's him going to get a second dose of DRS as they head into turn 2. This is where the strategies will start to cross over, where the people that went onto the mediums a bit later on from their soft stint will be quicker now, and then will probably lengthen out their stint or even box at the same time as the drivers in front of them. And the likes of Colin and Nick will also box pretty much at the same time because they are on the softs. But this is where they all sort of come into one and have the same sort of pit stop window, and you would think now it's pretty much just a shootout to the end.
Yes, a shootout to the finish potentially for these guys, as pretty much everybody has made one stop. No one has done their second stops, for those of you that are aware currently. And I think potentially in about 3 or 4 laps time, if people started on the softs and went on to mediums, could they potentially do another medium stint to get to the end of this race? Or maybe, if they save the set of softs, going on to a fresh set of softs at the end of the race, or maybe go on to a scrub set for the end too. Here comes Colin once again then, down to the inside of Canarmed. It's going to be 3 wide in towards turn number 1. Surely one of them's got back out here as well, and Colin's done it. No, he hasn't, as I think Matt is trying to cover off ever so slightly. Canarmed, oh, that was ever so tight, but Colin has overtaken 2 drivers in 1. He's up into 4th spot. He's on for a good shot of the podium, and someone was saying in chat that Colin was looking good. Well, maybe this soft strategy is working. Yellow flag, that is Axelot, unfortunately. Has had a bit of a spin. Luckily, he's still going, but that was very brave from Colin. I was a bit worried that it wouldn't work there. He got a bit squirmy on exiting towards turn number 1, but he got it going again. Oh, Porsche did that safety car.
That is massive, because remember, Canarmed and Car Mentalist both started on the medium tyres, so they have to go onto the softs if they want any chance of, or the hards. But is the hards really the optimum choice?
No, it's not.
Neither. They're in a sticky situation here because you're probably not going to get the softs to the end with the pace-wise, because they'll drop off instantly. But then the hards, again, just no pace in them as well. So it's a tough one for Car Mentalist and Canarmed because they're really on the back foot here. heading into the pits, they have to go onto another set of tyres. This really helps Nicola Soro, Brendan, Timo, because this is around where they would want to box. Same with Colin and Nick. So this
and also
really does
Lukey and
hurt.
Waitsy as well. The ones who've either started on the mediums and pitted onto softs, or started on the softs and pitted onto mediums, it's an ideal situation for them because they've still got a fresh air mediums to use, and they've done their 2 stops already. Then they don't have to use the hards. And plus, if there's another safety car at the end, they can go onto a set of softs at the end, even though it's a scrub set. So it's really going to help them. Colin is gone on the hard compounder tyres. Now, Nick's gone for the opposite on the mediums. I wouldn't have gone for the hards, personally. I think mediums would have made it, personally, but Colin, I think, doesn't think so, and he would like to stay on optimum pace. I think he's going to be slow at the start, but then towards the end he's going to be very quick again. Or maybe he's just quick on the hards, and maybe he's going to pull a Timo on us. We don't know. So, obviously, the car mentalists don't have a choice. I think a lot of drivers who had a choice have gone onto the hards as well. So, obviously, no one went on the soft. It's too early to go onto the soft at this stage, but if I was racing at the moment and a safety car came around about this time, I would definitely went on the mediums. I know I would have lost a bit of pace at the end, but I would have a great restart, and I would just generally try and gain a lot of tyre temperatures into it as well. So I think the top 3, as well as Matt's and Nick's, probably made the right decision. But for everybody else, it is crunch time to see if they can make those hards last.
Yeah, what the hard tyres need to do, especially Colin, is stick with the top 3. That's what they need to do in this race. I mean, it's going to be difficult because the mediums will be so much quicker off the start. So they're just going to have to try stick on to the back of them until DRS is enabled, and then just hopefully sit within that DRS train. And then once those mediums start to drop off, around about lap 30, I would say, is when they will start to drop off, because we still have a long way to go in this race. That's when they need to pounce with their hard tyres. But if they're too far back at the start of the stint, and then they can't get close enough near the end, then that can really cost them here. So the hard tyres, it is going to be better than the softs, obviously, because the softs will just completely fall off instantly, and then they'll just start falling down the order. But they need to make these hards work. They need to keep with that top 3 and just try it and keep with them all the way until those mediums fall off. And then once they do, then you pounce on that opportunity you're given. And it'll probably only be one chance to get past the top 3, because I expect, especially Nicola Soro, to pull away here, and Colin and the likes of Canard and Car Mentalist really need to just put the pressure on these guys in front and pressure them into mistakes so they can keep with them till the end of the race. So as Colin is on the hards, I mean, there's Mats and Nick as well on the medium tyre.
I just realised I was on mute.
Oh, Jess. I wondered why you went. That's why I tried filling it. Well, not tried filling it in.
Well, you did fill in. But yeah, I was like speaking for like 10 seconds, and I was like, oh, you interrupted me, and I was very like, I had the red light on my mic. Never mind.
Anyways.
Safety car is in this lap. Nicola Soro is going to be the Burt Mylander and lead the field away. Let's hope for no Mugello restarts, please, because it could be a bit of a disaster. We'll keep an eye on the hard runners, in particular Colin and Canard. Keep an eye on Mats and Nick, who's right behind those hard runners. And Nicola Soro is already putting his foot to the floor on this restart, and he's loving life. And another person that's loving life is Timo. He's right on the back of Brendan. Canard is right on the back of Colin. So Colin is struggling a little bit, but Colin pulls to the inside and defends from Canard as well. Carmental is trying to do exactly the same thing. It's about who has warmed their tyres the best, and it looks like a bit of contact there from the both of them, but I think they still managed to keep it on the road. This is sensational racing between the two Welshmen. Callum versus Colin. Who's going to come out on top of the head towards turn number 4? leaving no room, and Colin's gone off a little bit. Will that allow Aiden to get past? It's going to be tight. Matt's in this as well. Nick, I did say watch out for Nick and Matt, who is on these mediums. My, oh my, it's absolutely sensational stuff from all of them there, keeping it clean. And this is the closest P1 to I've seen in absolute season so far. And it's around Hungary, and they're just giving it everything. Fair play to Colin and Callum for keeping it side by side like that throughout the whole few corners. Well, let's hope they can do that thus far. And they're managing to keep a lot of the medium runners behind, but the downside is Canam is 1.6 seconds behind the medium runners anyway, so maybe they should have gone on to a set of mediums, but as long as they're around about that gap between the medium runners, they should be okay.
Yep, okay. Again, Nicholas Solos broke DRS on a restart here, so 1.3 seconds now between him and Brendan. Timo's out of DRS. Can't enter this down the inside of Colin. Will Matt be able to capitalise as well? Colin's really struggled to heat up his tyres here. Carmentis will be able to keep the position heading into turn 2. Matt now needs to try and get the move done. Always at a big slide though through turn 2. The Alpha Tauri going to fall off the back of the Mercedes for a little while. He's going to have to catch up through the middle sector where his medium tyres will be better. But Colin really struggling to warm up the tyres at the start of this restart. So he's dropped down 2 places. Kanam now 2.1 behind Timo. But Colin really struggling here. Hopefully by now though, his tyres should be nice and toasty and he can try and get back past Carmentis and Kanam.
I've noticed in practice when I was doing the hards for a little bit, and then I quickly decided that I didn't want to go on them. Hards really do take, I think, 3 or 4 laps to get into that operating window, so maybe he can fight back soon. But the question is, Canam, the car mentalists have done a lot better, so maybe the tyre warm-up was a lot better for them in the safety car kind of phase, and that is very crucial on this game, because DRS is activated then, and the ones that are going to benefit are the likes of Timo on the back of Brendan, and then we got Carmentis on the back of Canam, and even though the detection point won't be yet, it will be the next lap. Look at the pace that Carmentis is showing on Canam right now as we go down the straight, heading towards turn 2 and 3. He's going to go up the right-hand side. Maybe no, he's not going to do that at the moment, but look at Matt's on Nick. Matt and Nick trying to go head to toes to nail on Colin right now, and Colin pretty much must be feeling very worried right now, but he's got his teammate Nick to help him a little bit as well, so that might help him breathe a sigh of relief there as well. 7 tenths is the gap now. Matt must be feeling a little bit frustrated currently as well. Pretty much everybody from P5 downwards all have similar pace, and it's very great to see. And don't forget, in 100 Racing, top 12 do score points. So, and if you're in the top 12, you will pretty much gain some points. Only a few drivers have not scored points in this championship. Posh Evans going to be another one of those because he's DNF'd, unfortunately. But again, a bit of a shame that he's lost a bit of ground in this championship already. But again, his injury, it's quite hard to get back to his original pace anyway after that. So it will take a while. Meanwhile, commenting again. Round number 2, as I say, another slice of the cherry. I don't think he's going to do it this time around, but he's going to use the DRS heading towards turn 2 to gain the speed as Boom Pyres get popped past Jaco up into 14th. I don't think Carmentis is using a bit of DRS here, so I think he's just going to sit patiently and wait for the opportunity to present itself.
Yeah, he's probably just going to sit behind the Alfa Romeo in front of him, maybe gain a bit of ERS back from the earlier attacks and just try and keep with that top 3. I mean, it's 3.2 seconds now. Timo now within DRS as well of Brendan, so it's going to be hard for Kanam to gain on the top 3, especially with the DRS being in play. Nicolas Soro 2.5 seconds ahead of Brendan as they head into the middle sector for the 23rd time. But Colin, Mats is all over the back of him. It's just unfortunate the way Mats gets close through the middle sector. Then he just has a really scruffy turn 1. But Colin's gone wide through turn 12. That's invited Mats to the outside for turn 13. Colin sticks his nose down the inside still. There's contact between the pair. But Mats holds it round the outside. Gets the move done. And now will Nick be able to get past his teammate? As they head down the main straight, you would think that Colin will let past Nick in down the main straight. Yes, he has. He's got the move done on his teammate. Tried to focus his attention on Matt. Car Mentalist still not getting past. Casper gets side by side with Lukey now as they head through turn 1. Will they be able to keep it down the inside though, heading into turn 2? Red Bull versus Ferrari. Down the inside goes the Red Bull. Will he be able to get the move done? This will then lead into turn 3. Round the outside he goes. He tries getting the up and under, a little bit of slipstream, heading up into turn 4. Is he going to go to the outside or the inside? No, he just sits behind the Ferrari for another lap. And he's actually gone wide through turn 4 in the process as well. But Carmentelis still sitting behind Canarmed. Needs to get by though, because Mats and Nick are going to be on his tail, and on his tail fast.
Yes, and it may get to a point where the Haas may be the better tyre, but if I was Mats and Nick, I would try and get past in the optimal window now, because you never know when the crossover point will be, and I think it's going to be Mats first and then Nick's, and if Matt doesn't do it, then Nick is going to follow suit a little bit, and you can start to see the Haas starting to lose the operating window for the ones lower down the field, but for the likes of Canam, the Carmentalists, they're just taking it like a duck towards us, so it could be down to personal preference. So Carmentalist is right on the back of Canam then for the second to third time of this race as we head towards lap 25 of 35. Still 11 laps to go of this race. Let us know who you think has done well in this race. Pretty much we've got the top 3 running their own little race. Then we got the lights Canam leading that tray. Oh, yellow flag. That is Boom, who has lost it in turn number 1. And he's lost a bit of his front wing as well. So he's going to gain it along the straights, but in the corners, that is not going to be good. So a change in front wing is in order for Boom, and he hardly has any tyres left. So yeah, that is worrying for Boom Pie, unfortunately. And that could be his race over.
Yeah, his race just never really kicked off, really. Just always had the bad luck, of course, picking up those 2 penalties. He's now retired from the session. He's actually crashed through turn 4, so maybe carrying a bit too much speed, understeering into the wall. No safety car, though, from the game at the moment. Yeah, it's been cleared up, so no safety car for that incident. But look at Mats. He's all over the back of Carmentalist and Canarmed. He's dropped Nick as well. Nick is now 1 second behind, so he won't have DRS down the main straight. Let's keep on board with Mats though. Will he be able to get the move done on the Red Bull in front of him? He needs to get it done now though, or will Carmentalist battle Canarmed into turn 1? It's going to be a little bit of a waiting game for turn 2, you would think, as now they all head single file through turn 1. Get a good run out of here. You can set yourself up nicely for a move into turn 2. They're all sitting behind each other once again, though. It seems Mats now. Can he get the run out of turn 2 to give him a good run through turn 3 and up into turn 4? It doesn't seem so. So it seems that these 3 drivers sitting in the same places once again. It's going to be very, very difficult for Mats to get past through sector 2. He might go for an ambitious move into the chicane, but it doesn't seem likely.
No, I think it's coming to this point of the race where it's all about the pace that you have and your tyre temperatures. Around about 106, 105 is the optimal time temperature if you're on the medium compounder tyres. Can't remember how much it is if you're on the hards, but it is different per tyre compound. It's not the same for every tyre compound, and that's what the drivers have got to bear in mind as we hit the latter stages of this race, because if the tyre temperatures get too much, that is when disaster struck, and that is where we start to see people behind you gain. So I think you just got to find any optimal time window, because anything either side will have an issue at the moment. Timo still not able to get past Brendan, but still pretty much on the pace right now. And Carmentalist trying to get past Canam. Then Matt's trying to get past Carmentalist as well. It's like a chain reaction here.
Yeah, it just seems that Canarmed is like a roadblock here. He's making his Alfa Romeo as wide as possible. He's quite quick down the straights as well, so might be going for a lower downforce setup in this race. Carmentalist, of course, still behind the Alfa Romeo, and it just that DRS from Canarmed really helps Carmentalist stay in front of Mats, because Mats can't gain as much down the straight. He doesn't have the advantage really of DRS. He just has the advantage of the double slipstream, but it's not working out at the moment. Carmentalist is still all over the back of Canarmed as they now head through the 6 and 7 chicane. But Mats needs to pressure Carmentalist into the mistake. That's probably the only way he's going to get by it at the moment, is just Mats keeping the pressure on Carmentalist. And if Carmentalist makes a mistake at a turn 1 or even out at the final corner, he can capitalise on that down the main straight. But at the moment, it seems that Mats is sitting behind Carmentalist. Carmentalist needs to get by Canarmed, you would think, to really progress his race forward. He does have so much more pace at the moment than the Alfa Romeo. But Matt just loses all his time through the final 2 corners and isn't really able to gain on Carmentis too much down the main straight. So it just helps out Carmentis focus on Canarmed in front, because Matt, he doesn't have the pace through the final sector like the 2 cars in front of him.
Oh, and Matt's got a bit very squirmy there on the exit of turn number 1 and 2, which is not ideal for the AlphaTauri driver, and that's allowing Nick back into this party as well. So it's all gone from like a two-car train to a 4-car train, and that's really going to excite Nick here, as he could try and get past Matt, which is very, very exciting. And that is all for 4th place in this race. It's not even for a podium, because Canarmed is not even having the pace for the podium so far. I have to say, the top 3 are in another league right now. Nobody can touch them unless they're in a sticky fuel situation. By the way, let's see how much fuel. Nicolas Oro is on 1.07 on the pluses, so he's fine. Brendan, well, it's hard to see on his dash because it doesn't really say too much.
0.8 it seems for Brendan.
Yeah, so he should be fine if he does a bit of lifting and coasting. Timo, a bit questionable for Timo, so he's got to do some lifting and coasting, but I think he's gaining anyway, so he must be doing some right now.
Oh, Carmentis!
Canarmed and up to 4th.
Carmentis, oh, he's locked up the rears though through turn 1. That could allow Canarmed to fight back as they head down into turn 2. Of course, Canarmed with no DRS though, and he's actually quite low on fuel. He's 0.02 on the fuel. He keeps flickering between having enough fuel to finish the race and not enough. But here comes Matt. Can he get past the Alfa Romeo now? It's like the cork has been released from the bottle, and now Canarmed is starting to fall down the order a bit. Carmentis managed to get ahead out down the main straight. A big slide there for Canarmed. That could allow Mats down the inside into turn 6, but no, he just had to sit behind. And now Konto spun round on the exit of turn 4, and I think he's actually beached on the curb. No, he's just
hopefully he's not
trying to get fine reverse.
Safety car.
I mean, he's not pressing the throttle down at the moment. I think he's just trying to find reverse. But unfortunately for Konzo, that means that is pretty much the end of his race. J. Cole's gone for fastest lap, and
I wonder if Konzo's going to do the same thing now. And go
Canarmed is really struggling with his rear tyres. He's had another huge slide out of turn 13. And now DRS opened for Matt, none for Canarmed. Matt needs to make this move to get ahead of Carmentis if he wants to get by. But down the inside goes the AlphaTauri on the Alfa Romeo. It's the battle of the Alphas as another huge slide due to contact between the pair. Canarmed with another slide, very well held once again, as he now falls down to 6th place. Now Nick might try to capitalise on the Alfa Romeo in front of him. This is all over 6th place now between the pair.
Yep, 6th place at the moment between Canarmed, Nick, and maybe Colin potentially as well. But if Matt is not careful, then maybe he could lose position as well. Konzo gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and unfortunately he's given up, and that makes it our 3rd retirement in this evening's proceedings. I kind of wish he kept going, but sometimes you don't really want me racing almost a lap down, so it is fair enough. We've got 1 Williams, 1 Haas, and 1 Alfa Romeo out of this race. Is it a coincidence? I think not. We are on equal cars, remember. Don't forget to. So Canarmed doing all he can to try and keep Nick behind him, but that is allowing Matt just to pull away ever so slightly and chase down Carmentis. This is definitely what Aiden and Matt want, to try and bridge the gap a little bit as we head to lap 31 and 35. We've got to keep an eye on the fuel situation. With some drivers, like Matt, they are okay, as Nick trying to get past Canarmed, and he does it. Canarmed is pretty much under pressure, and the pressure got to him. Nick is up into 6th place, and it looks like he's going to potentially finish similar to where he finished last week in Imola, where he finished in 5th place. But he qualified higher this week, so he would be expecting higher, but at the end of the day, him going on softs was a good strategy because it helped with the safety car, but obviously you can't predict when the safety car is going to happen. Matt's on the back of Carmentis now, but he also got squirmy there.
Yeah, it seems like the medium tyres haven't really fallen off yet. It seems like it's the opposite way around at the moment. The hards are really struggling at this moment in time. Canand is like a sinking ship through the field. And yeah, he's just falling down the order. Colin's now half a second behind him. So wouldn't be too surprised if we see another move there for 7th place. But Carmenton is starting to struggle on these medium tyres. He's got into that free air. And it's not working out for him because Mats is all over the back of him as they head through the final corner. No DRS, of course, for the Red Bull. It's the sister teams fighting each other. Will the AlphaTauri be able to get past the Red Bull and get ahead of the adult team, I like to call it, the older team, and also just, yeah, the Red Bull in front. So the Mats just not being able to get by, though, as they head into turn 2. Once again, all nearly hitting the back of Carmentalist as they go through turn 2, but Matt's managing to keep a safe distance behind heading into turn 2. And now up into turn 4, yeah, just can't get the move done there for Mats and just has to sit behind once again.
I've experienced it when I was racing earlier on. I was just quicker in the corners, but when they were on the straights, I just couldn't get past because they had the high straight line speed. Now, I think this is what some drivers are experiencing currently as well. But I have to say, they're prolonging the moves a bit quicker than a bit longer than I was expecting, which just goes to show the high caliber of drivers in this league, which makes it even harder to decide who is driver of the day. One of them, I know it's obvious that we're going to give out, but we've got to think about the second one currently. And it could be between these two because they've been battling for so long. No one else is able to catch up currently, unless you're the likes of Matt. So we'll see what they can do then. Heading towards the start of the straight. 3 more laps to go. This could be Matt's second slice of the cherry once again. Breezes past Aiden up into 4th place. But is Aiden Carter going to fight back? The ACC champion, the 3-time ACC champion, is going to go for another lunge in towards turn 2 and 3. No, he does not. Meanwhile, Casper is having a nice fight with Colin. Used to be RDR teammates, of course. Well, obviously, Colin has moved on from RDR now, and they both go up the hill in towards turn number 4. Is Casper going to sneak past the inside? He's not going to, but a really respectful fight between the both of them currently as well. But 3 laps to go, anything can happen.
Yeah, anything can happen for these drivers. Carmental is still sort of hanging with Mats at the moment, so it's not all over yet in this battle between the AlphaTauri and the Red Bull, and as well, Casper trying to get past Colin heading into turn 2, just not working out for him. You can see that Mats is starting to derate. He's starting to flash at the rear end there, so we'll just have to wait and see if Carmentalist is able to use this ERS advantage. He's still within DRS as well, so he's able to just keep with Mats for another lap or so as we're heading on to the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix. Nicola Solo has actually dropped a bit of time to Brendan. Timo will need to make the move. He'll need to use his battery a bit more heading on to the final lap. But will Carmentalist be able to catch up to Mats and make a move down into turn 2? I wouldn't think so. I think he might just try and save it for the final lap, but it's going to be extremely difficult knowing the tyre difference. One's on the mediums, one's on the hards, but the mediums are starting to drop off very, very slightly. As you can see, that Carmentalist is able to keep up through the corners. So we're just going to have to wait and see what will happen in this race as J. Cole's come into the pit lane. But Canand, he's actually managed to keep ahead of Colin. Colin's dropped Casper slightly as well. But yeah, Canand, the sinking has sort of stopped through the field. And he might just try and hold on for a 7th place finish.
And to be honest, for some drivers, them getting some points is better than getting no points at all. So it's important that sometimes, if you're not that far ahead now, maybe just accept the fate and just try and make sure that you could defend off of the position you're in. So for Callum, he's going to try and defend off Colin, and they've been fighting so much in the past. As we're on the final lap of this race, as Nicola Soro leads by 2.4 seconds, and to be honest, he has not put a foot wrong, but we could be deciding who's going to get 2nd place in this race. But Timo not having the edge to get past Brendan just yet, but I think we are starting to see the early title contenders really going out strong. Oh, Timo's got a time penalty. He's not going to make that much difference, but he's going to be finishing 3rd no matter what now, even if he does get past Brendan.
Yeah, unfortunately there for Timo. He's kept it clean pretty much the whole race, but he's actually down on fuel by what the game is saying. He's down. Actually, no, he's up, but the game's saying that he is down on fuel. I don't get that with the game, actually, but it's what it is on the HUD. But yeah, unfortunate there for Timo. It would have been nice if he did get ahead of Brendan just to keep P2, but unfortunate for him, he will have to settle for third place. So yeah, that's Timo's race done. But Nicolo Soro has absolutely been perfect this race. He had a good race last time out, but heading through the final corner now, he's coped brilliantly around Hungary, and he wins the Hungarian Grand Prix here in one hub. A brilliant drive from him, absolutely dominating the field. Brendan in second, Timo in third. Mats does manage to hang on to fourth place, but Nicolo Soro, what a race by the Haas driver. A brilliant, brilliant drive.
It was a lights to flag finish from Nicolo Soro. Even with that safety car restart, he nailed it as well. He did not put a foot wrong. And I'm just wanting to check if he's got the Grand Slam. Because fastest lap, he's got the Grand Slam. He's got the Grand Slam. He got pole. He's got the win. He led almost every lap. And he got fastest lap. So, can we call it a Grand Slam for Nicolo Soro? I think we can. So he's got the fastest lap inside the top 10. Fastest lap outside the top 10 belongs to, I think at the moment it belongs to Jayco, and I don't think anyone else is going to beat him, but I'm almost certain that Jayco is going to try and beat that currently. So Jayco is going to come up to the line. Is he going to beat his fastest lap? I think he does. And there we go. You'll get that extra point despite finishing in 14th. So a good consolation prize for him, and what could have been for Jayco. But Soro, I have to say, one of the drivers of the day, but we will choose R2 in just a moment.
Yeah, brilliant drive there from Nicolo Soro. He just never looked back from the start, really. Of course, he had to fight his way through the field slightly after his first pit stop, but still with that, he just sliced his way through the order and just continued going forwards, and a brilliant result from him. And he actually did keep the fastest lap. J. Cole was a 10th off it, so Nicolo Soro does manage to keep the fastest lap of the race as well, just to boot. So brilliant race from him as well. Carmentis had a good race from 8th of the grid. Casper managed to make it up into the top 9. Very good race from him, of course, starting at the back, taking the new engine, manages to grab some points. So yeah, a very good race, and a very entertaining one come the end of the race.
Yeah, so Nicolo Soro wins from Brendan in second. Timo gets third. And we got Matt, Carmentis, Nick, Canarmed, Colin, Casper, Lukey, Waity, and Axelot, your points finishers. Delta Hunter and J. Cole, your final finishers. And your retirements are Konzo, Boom, and Posh Evans. So now we got a ridiculous task, a hard task to pick who is going to be our driver of the day. And I'm going to go first, and I'm going to pick... oh, excuse me, my voice is cracking, I don't know why. I'm going to pick Carmentis because we thought that him starting on the soft, then going on mediums, and then going on hards may not have been the best strategy, but even though he said in the chat he didn't like the hards, he kind of made those work. He was kind of fending off Mats as well, and he was able to gain from the safety car, and he had some pace from the start as well. So my question for him as well, massive congratulations on your result today. Is there going to be a podium in sight this season, or are you just aiming for a top 5 every race? That is my question for Carmentis. And Steve, I'll hand it over to you. Who's your driver of the day, and what would you like to ask that person?
I'm going to give it to Nicolo Soro, and my question is, were you expecting to dominate the race as much as you did during that, and what was the thought process on the safety car restart?
Good question, I have to say, and I think probably my thought process that he was absolutely flying, but there we go. So thank you guys for watching this stream, if you were watching it live or if you've been watching it post-event. We really do appreciate your presence. And a final quick word for our sponsors before we leave. So a massive shout out to our sponsors, Next Level Racing, by sponsoring the league by providing the following prizes, including one of our champions winning a Next Level Racing FGT Elite Light Wheel Play Edition, an ES1 seat. Also, a massive shout out to Pure Sim Gear, sponsor the league by providing their gloves or socks to the drivers who have the most combined fastest laps and poles. Also, a massive shout out to Aztec for sponsoring the league by providing a multitude of prizes, including the driver with the shortest combined qualifying times wins a set of Invicta Sim Racing boots. And also, the winner of the ERT Go and Gets Tough Award wins an Aztec Sim Sports t-shirt and cap. Mystery Shirt Box sponsors the league by providing one of their mystery shirt boxes to the winner of 100 Racing's driver rankings for season 23. And let's move on to our partners, Vespertine. Partner with Vespertine, who supports our official apparel. ERT partners the ERT Going Gets Tough Award and sponsoring our league trophies. And finally, to SimGrid, powered by SimGrid, running through our seasons through their community and platforms. So those are our sponsors. We couldn't do it without them. And finally, I'd just like to say thank you for joining me once again, Steve. It was curling and fine, obviously, due to work, but I think in the end we got given a great race, so it was worth it.
Yeah, it certainly was. It was a brilliant race, and yeah, the drivers did certainly deliver today, and so it's going to be a fun one next week. Obviously, heading to the historic Brazil, so yeah, excited for that one.
Oh yes, thank you for reminding me about the calendar. Yes, Brazil will be our next race in just 7 days' time. So if you want more action, make sure you join us at 8 PM. We will be on YouTube next week, whereas obviously P2 will be on Twitch, P3 will be on YouTube. So make sure you join us then. But for myself and Steve, thank you so much for watching the P1 tier this evening. It's been a lot of fun to cover and watch the action. Some very respectful racing from all the drivers tonight. Have a good evening, and we'll see you next week, same time at 8 o'clock for the Brazilian Grand Prix, Sao Paulo Grand Prix to be precise. Take care, stay safe, and bye-bye.